Okay, here we are. Monday, February the 13th, or Tuesday, February the 14th, 2023. Jim and Jory here. Our last class for a little while. We're going to be taking a trip, so we're really excited to be with you to give you have you give us a send off, and as we get a journey to the North America, and I'm feeling happy to be with you today. If you're here for the very first time, I want to extend a really warm, special welcome to you. I'm always curious about how people discover us. So if you want to let me know in the chat, you can do that. If you've never been on Zoom before, which still happens, I mean, sometimes people are still learning about Zoom. So on the bottom of your Zoom screen, there's a thing that says chat with a little, like a little bubble there, like a cartoon bubble where someone would talk, and you can click on that. Then you can chat with everybody or chat with someone privately, just like a cell phone chat message. Also on the bottom, there's a reaction button that looks like a smiley face with a plus going on it. And that's how you can raise your hand if you ever want to raise your hand during the call. Also, there's a button that says participants, I think. Yeah, participants. Click on that. It opens up a list of all the participants, including you. And so you can use that to find out who's here. And you can also use that to change your name if you wanted to. So you can have any name you want to while you're here. But some people change their name and because they don't want to be in small groups. We do small groups as the practice group, so there's lots of chance to be with other people in small groups. If that doesn't work for you, that's fine. Just put an equal sign in front of your name, and then we won't put you in a small group. Also, if you have a language preference other than English, you can put that in front of your name too, and that helps Jory as she makes the groups. So if you're here for the first time, then let you kind of give you a little orientation about what we're planning to do. In just a minute, I'll lead a self-connection exercise, a chance to use nonviolent communication just with yourself. And it's a great review if you're relatively new to NVC, kind of go through the different parts of NVC and how it relates to your own direct experience. And then we will go into these small groups that I mentioned for a brief chance to connect with new friends, or maybe the groups are relatively random, so you might end up being with someone that you've been with before. Then we'll all come back again to the large room, so to speak, and we'll hear from a few people. We'll find out if there's anything up that anybody wants to share with everybody. Then we have a lesson plan today about how to move towards making agreements with people that are important to you in your life to build healthier and more life-sustaining relationships. So we'll go through that lesson, have another chance to go to breakout rooms, and towards the end of the call, we've got a few things that we do at the end that are part of how we wrap things up. So if there's any questions along the way, you can always just raise your hand and I'll try to do my best to keep track of that and answer your questions. Everything we do here is optional. We really want to acknowledge your autonomy to make the choices that work for you. We want, my wish is for you to fully develop self-trust and to let go of trusting any sort of external authority. Unless it's someone that you really trust and you like, maybe you're getting an expert opinion about something, but really, even in that case, take whatever information you get from the expert and allow it to go through the filter of your own direct experience and trust yourself. And hang on one second, Jory, can I just do something really quick here?
Yes.
Okay, right. So I'm going to do the self-connection exercise now, unless there's a question that anybody has about anything that I said so far. Okay. Not seeing any questions. Just notice that you're breathing. You don't have to try to do anything about your breath. Just notice that this is happening right now. And bring your attention to the simple yet profound act of compassionate giving and receiving. If you want to close your eyes, that's fine. It's totally optional, whatever works for you. It helps me to feel my body more sometimes when I close my eyes. So as you close your eyes, this becomes a new observation. You're changing the sensory input that's coming into your awareness just by closing your eyes, and now you're aware of something new. So what do you notice in your body as you close your eyes? You might be aware of sensations. Maybe something feels tight or loose, hot or cold or warm or cool. Maybe there's a tingle. Maybe there's pain. Maybe there's a sense of pleasure or openness. Notice that the sensations are coming and going, almost like waves of the ocean. They kind of flow in and then they're replaced by other sensations, like your nervous system is scanning for information, because that's what's actually happening. Your nervous system, your brain, your nerves, really wants to keep you safe. That's its primary function, is to contribute to safety. And so we're scanning for our perceptions of the world, and then having the sensations, these reactions in our body. And all this is information for us. Sometimes it becomes emotion. You might notice emotions. Emotions like curiosity, wonder, peace, agitation, excitement, boredom, love, hate, irritation, contentment. Lots and lots of words describe our emotional experience. What's it like for you right now? And as you attune to sensations and emotions, just check your own experience. Is it so for you that they're they're in constant flux? Your awareness of sensations and emotions is changing from moment to moment. Maybe the mood is more stable. Like maybe you woke up in a bad mood today, or maybe you woke up in a good mood. That's kind of a more of a background experience that then the emotions rise and fall in. Then sometimes something that can happen that can lift your mood or take you down. Maybe that's happened to you today. Sometimes people say they don't feel anything. That's okay. Just notice that. Maybe that's what you call it. I don't feel anything. Or maybe you call it numb. or blank or something else. But you're noticing whatever it is that you're sensing, including numbness. So these sensations and emotions are like information, like the lights or the gauges on the dashboard of a car or a bus or an airplane. And the information is about the state of your needs. So, what are the sensations and emotions that you're experiencing right now telling you is important to you? If this is a new concept, an easy way just to test your experience is to notice the sensation in your gut, right in your tummy. And if you notice fullness there, that's a signal that your need for sustenance is likely to have been recently met. Food, in other words. Or if you feel hungry, means that you have a need for food or sustenance. Or maybe you're somewhere in between. So just notice that need. And then you can go back to scanning the body for other sensations and see if you can link the feelings in your body with your needs right now. You could even say it to yourself, I feel, and then add the feeling, and then because I need. What's your need? If you don't like that word need, you could just ask yourself, what's important to me right now? Or what do I value? Based on previous experience in this group, I hear from people that the needs they're hoping to meet are learning, growth, fun, connection, community, stimulation, something else. What's it about for you? Then what would make your life more wonderful during our time together? This points to the energy of a request. What could you ask of yourself that might increase the likelihood of you getting the needs that are important to you met here today? Like one request that might come up that I'm going to try to remember today is every half hour to stretch my body, maybe stand up, just to support more well-being in my body rather than just sitting. So what kind of a request comes up for you? Okay. Then as a final step in the exercise, just consider if any needs of yours were satisfied by this exercise. Okay. Jory's needs are not being met by the Zoom interface right now as she's making the groups.
Yeah.
If your eyes have been closed, you can let them open now and just look around. Reorient yourself to the space that you're in. It's always fun for me to reopen my eyes after this exercise and see people that have arrived that weren't here. I like to think I somehow manifested you being here, but I know that's not true. You manifested you being here. But I'm really glad to see you anyway. Lots of old friends that have been coming here to this practice group sometimes for years. So in just a moment, we're going to go to small groups. And in the small groups, people say, what am I supposed to do in the small group? Well, it's really a chance to fulfill what Marshall Rosenberg, the founder of Nonviolent Communication, said was our life's purpose as human beings. That our purpose as human beings is to hang out with one another, to connect. So it's a chance just to hang out with maybe new friends, or maybe to say hello to friends that you've met here before. And so you might do a round so that you get a chance to hear from everybody in your small group. The groups are generally 3 people. Might be one pair or one group of 4 or something like that too, but generally it's 3s. And they'll be about 10 minutes long. So you can have a chance to introduce yourself, say where you're calling from if you want to, and your reaction or response to this exercise. Maybe you would like to share any requests you have made of yourself in order to get everything that you were hoping to get, all the needs met today that you were hoping to get met.
Okay, well, I've got groups of 2 and 3. If you want to take another moment, I'll make more 3s. But
That's okay. We're good.
we're good enough.
Okay, so we're gonna do these small groups now for about the timer will say 9 minutes on the upper right hand corner of your Zoom screen, but there'll be 1 minute at the end. And I'm just going to glance through here and see if there's any. Okay, everything looks great. All right, so we'll see you back here in about 10 minutes. You'll get a little invitation on your screen. Just say yes to it. And then when it's time to come back, you don't need to push any buttons. You don't need to do anything to come back. When you're in the small groups, if you're willing to turn your camera on, that's a request we've heard over and over again. It really helps people to have a sense of more connection. So if you're willing to do that in the small groups, please do so. Okay, see you back here in 10 minutes.
Aloha. Yeah, everybody's zoomed back in. Whoosh.
So, what's that for you? Who would like to share something now with the large group? If you would like to share anything with the large group, you can press your, you can raise your hand by using that reaction button on the bottom of your screen. Go ahead, Siva.
What I like about NVC, it's not pushing any religion. It's because the holiness in everything is accessible by just paying attention. We don't need it gift wrapped in a package as if it's something special. It's always available. Anytime.
Yeah. Really catch your appreciation for the universality that there's something about NVC that's universal, that anybody can enjoy, no matter what their religious background is. Is that what you're sharing? Is that close?
Yeah. So today, for example, I went to a fundraising luncheon by the Hizmet Jew Muslims to raise money for the victims of the earthquake. And I was one of the people who spoke, and the other people talked about the prayer and all these lovely things, but I was angry because instead of Erdogan and his leadership using steel to make weapons, they should have been using steel to make reinforced concrete. So that is earthquake country. It's been forever. But no.
I catch your heartbreak. You really want the resources to be used to protect people rather than.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I like about NVC is that all emotions are welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Siva. I'm in harmony with that. All of emotions are not only welcome, they're necessary. Can you imagine if I've actually had this experience because sometimes the cars that I've driven in my life haven't been the most up-to-date cars or whatever. Imagine you're driving without a gas gauge that works. You have to constantly be guessing what the state of your gas tank is. So if you don't have feelings, you don't have access to feelings, which there are very rare. This is a rare thing that some people don't have sensations in their body. It's dangerous. You can't protect yourself. So these feelings are necessary. They're constantly giving us information. Thanks, Eva. Somebody else would like to share anything? I looked at UK and I saw the painting behind you and I thought that was your hand raising, but it wasn't.
I see Tanya's
Yeah,
hands up.
go ahead, Tanya.
So I have a question that came up in our circle. Is this the last of the giraffe cycle of that you were doing?
Yes and no. It's the last one of a particular part of the series about moving towards being able to make a proposal and the section called agreements. Then we'll just be taking 3 weeks while you get to experience some other trainers. There'll always be somebody here every week. And all the themes are relational. So they'll continue to talk about something that has something to do with relationships. Then when we get back, we'll pick it up with the rest of the sessions for the iGiraffe acronym. Thanks for asking. Anybody else? Okay, Elspeth. Oops, where'd you go, Elspeth? There you go.
Am I here?
Yes,
Yeah, there
go
you
ahead.
are.
Okay, good. I am keeping my camera off today just because I've woken up out of a really deep sleep and a lot of physical pain. And I wanted to reflect kind of like what you were saying, Jim. I've been through a time of really major injury, and so my body is in a lot of physical pain. And I also, during this time, have come through some really difficult psychological treatment from a very difficult workplace, a difficult partnership, some other stuff. And I have, for the first time in my life, become quite numb to life out of self-preservation. And it's been quite frightening for me because one of my sources of power in life has been to stay connected to my feelings and to find guidance through staying authentic. And so it's a shock for me to have had to numb to survive trauma, but also appreciate that kind of survival drive to come through such a difficult period of time. And so today, one of the reasons I've rejoined a space from some other spaces in my home country is just to be in that reminder and the refresher and the safety of being authentic. And you know, I'm in a locked room in the corner of my house. I feel safe in my bed. I'm resting and I feel like I can let myself feel my emotions today. And in the group today, I had a wonderful person who was in the joy of the fresh morning and the enjoyment of her body to normally walk or cycle or be in the day, and then her enjoyment of just having Tuesdays for touching in with her emotions and that blessing of a new day. And I had someone who was very deeply in pain and grief and loss, and I just wanted to share. I just feel so moved and so thankful to kind of share in the communion of human experience, and to remember that it's okay to feel, and
Okay
it
to feel.
truly is
Yeah.
such an important part of our humanity. So
Yeah.
I'm very, very thankful right now.
I really catch your
I just wanted
gratitude.
to share my appreciation.
And I really
Mhm.
catch your gratitude. And also, not only is it okay to feel, but it's okay to not feel. To have that experience that
Yeah.
you talked about.
Thank you.
That's a necessary part of your healing. And I'm really savoring the inner wisdom that your body and your mind and your soul are supporting you with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. It's a shock to me to understand that that's also part of the human experience.
Yeah.
But I can see the survivalism of it, and I appreciate that kind of primal.
Yeah.
I'm giving room to that when I felt my whole life full of feeling before. I'm
Yeah.
giving room to not feeling
Wow.
for the
Yeah.
first time in my life, and
What a change.
appreciating the survivalism of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. More range. I
Yeah.
guess it's more range of our human experience, isn't it? That's a
Yeah.
good thing.
I imagine oh, go ahead,
Mm.
Joy.
Oh, I was just going to say, I really appreciate your speaking out and speaking to
Mm.
things that are
Mm.
probably familiar to other people on this call as well.
Mhm.
And just the
Mhm.
amount of centeredness I hear from you to be able to navigate is very touching. And I also want to acknowledge that it's a bumpy ride, but
Yeah.
you're able to actually observe it. So thank you for
Mhm.
yeah.
Thank you, Jory. Yeah.
Thanks,
Mhm.
Elspeth. Is that complete for you?
Yeah. Thank you. Mhm.
You're welcome. Thanks for chiming in. I appreciate hearing your voice. Okay, so that seems to clear the board. So let me share my screen with you and we'll dive into practice. That didn't work. There it is. Okay, so as Tanya mentioned, we're kind of in the middle. This is actually the 6th week of a series, but previous classes are not necessary. Each class stands alone, and you can access the other classes if you're interested on our YouTube channel or our website, and I'll give you the details about how to do that at the end of the call. So we're focusing on this section here called refusing submission. We spent some time earlier on taking responsibility for doing our own inner work, self-responsibility, and we focused on gratitude, and we focused on who we want to be and our intention when we show up in relationship. The last few weeks, we've been really diving in to make sure that we don't put ourselves in the position of submitting to within as best of our power in the relationships that we're in, and it's all been setting ourselves up to move to what we're going to focus on today, which is about agreements. So I'm going to make that black in just a minute because that's really what we're going to be focusing on. We've been learning some skills to get ready to be able to start really negotiating. The NBC lingo is a giraffe dance. We're going to learn how to do the giraffe dance today. And rather than tell you how to do it, we're going to guide you in a practice, which is why we call it a practice group. We let you guys do all the work and we sit back and sip tea.
And also for the experiential, rather than just talking about something, you get to experience it in your own way and find out what really is it, whether this is your direct experience as well.
Yeah. And so it always starts with an observation. So first, you think of a relationship that matters to you. So it could be a partner relationship like a spouse, could be a roommate, could be a parent-child relationship.
Could be a boss, it could be a friend.
It's some kind of a relationship that matters that you want skills in feeding that relationship. So be quiet for a minute while you think of who you want to work with today. And maybe to help, you're going to work with something that the other person does that you don't like. So those are the first two pieces of coming up with the observation.
Yeah.
So, for example, I'm not going to talk about something that happened in my own life, but I read the New York Times pretty much every day, or the other pixels where there's news, and sometimes you see these advice columns. And so one that gave me a chuckle and a wish that this particular couple had nonviolent communication skills is so they're in some kind of a partnership relationship, like maybe their husband and wife. I couldn't tell from the details of the article, but some kind of a one-on-one relationship like that. They live together, and one person in the relationship always takes their dirty socks off, and they throw them next to the dirty clothes hamper. So rather than actually making the shot and getting it into the hamper, they end up on the floor day after day after day. So one person in the relationship doesn't like that. They don't enjoy that this pile of dirty socks ends up next to their clothes hamper.
So that's an example, and we'll now give you some time to write yours.
If you're new to NVC, this is the step or the part of the process, the component, that's the word I like to use, the component of NVC that relates to what we call an observation. So to make an observation as clear as possible, you make sure it doesn't have any kind of opinion or judgment in it. So notice that when I'm going to say Jory's going to play the role of the person who doesn't like the fact that I always throw I'm missing the hamper and my socks end up next to the hamper, and I'm the person that that has a bad aim, or I just can't quite get with the program of putting my dirty socks into the hamper. And so when I described the observation, I didn't talk about how bad I was or how stupid I was or any kind of moral judgment. I just said the fact that when I take my my dirty socks off, I put them near the hamper, but not in the hamper.
So that would be my observation, is what Jim is talking about. So what we're looking for are just what did you see, hear, taste, touch, smell?
Maybe in this case, smell.
As opposed to the story that we tell ourselves about something, or the right wrong game that we throw at it. So just the observation. What did you see, hear, smell, taste, or touch?
One way to support yourself is think about behaviors rather than people. Behaviors are what people do, and they're not who people are. We get into a lot of conflict when we confuse identity with behavior. So stick to describing behavior and the results or the effects of the behavior, and you'll much more likely to have a sense of connection. And that opens up the next part of the process, which is to go to your body and to notice how your body responds or reacts to the behavior that you see, hear, smell, taste, or touch? What do you sense in the body? What emotions do you notice?
Yeah, just sit for a moment with the observation that you wrote and notice how your body feels. Notice if any emotion arises. Just notice. And then write it down.
Yeah, first notice, then name. Again, this is the lights on the dashboard. This is the clue that helps us to get more connected to the life that's moving into us, within us, and that's what in nonviolent communication we call needs. Needs are this energetic. Um, I can't think of any other thing. The energy that's moving in you. Marshall Rosenberg, the founder of nonviolent communication, called it beloved divine energy, and it's that which sustains and enriches life. And it's something that we all have in common. So now consider what needs are alive in you in relationship to this particular observation that you chose.
Now, when we're talking about needs, we're talking about universal needs that we all share, just part of being alive, part of being a human being. And now you have a list on the screen. And these are some words, they're not the only words that point in those directions, but these are universal.
So Jory, like if you were the person that was dealing with a chronic, someone who, like me, that was not always throwing my socks into the hamper, what feelings and needs are alive in you? How do you feel? Because what do you need?
Well, the feelings might vary at various times, maybe some frustration, annoyance, sense of hopelessness. It could be any of those things.
Disgust.
Maybe, yeah, at various times. And really the need underneath that we all share, the universal part is just a need for some ease, a need for some sense of order or mutuality, things like that.
So now you do the same process. Follow the feelings in your body to the source of that energy, which will be a need. What's it about for you?
And again, these are just some words, but if you choose something off here, off of this, that's not on this list, just check with yourself and just say, and if I had that, is there anything underneath that that's important? And go deeper until you get to, yes, that's a universal need.
When you come up with the need, you can put it into the chat. That might stimulate other people to connect. with their needs. Also gives us all an opportunity to empathize with you.
Mhm.
And as you connect to your needs or the needs of others, you can savor the needs. Savoring means to just enjoy deeply,
Mhm.
enjoy that energy.
Yeah, and there's something about when we write down universal needs and other people see it, or we see what they've written, there's something about shared humanity. It's like, yeah, we're all in this together. We all have the same needs. Of course, we have feelings in relationship to all these universal needs. We celebrate when they are addressed. We mourn or feel pain when they're not.
So be quiet for a minute or so while you connect to yourself and savor your needs. It's really common, by the way, to come up with needs like respect or consideration. And this is a place where you can practice that technique Jory was just talking about. Because sometimes we can confuse a strategy and a need. Like, so I might ask if I'm if the situation was reversed and Jory's not putting her clothes in the clothes hamper, and I think my need is consideration, I might think, well, if Jory considered me, what need of mine might that
What's underneath that?
what need of mine
Yeah.
might that contribute to? What's it about for me? If she considered it might contribute to um, respect comes up. So then I go one layer deeper. And if what's underneath respect for me?
Mhm.
It's about cooperation.
Mhm.
Still, I can see how I got a little story in my head that she's not cooperating with me. So
Mhm.
if she cooperated, what would that mean?
Yeah.
And I just keep going deeper and deeper until I arrive. And here it's just like beauty. I just want to live in a beautiful space. I want to, and it's something about safe. I don't want anybody to be tripping over stuff.
Yeah, the simple thing is when you connect to what you think the need is, just to ask yourself, and if I had that, what would be the deeper meaning of that? And just to keep asking until there's this sense that you've arrived. And it's physical. It's just, yeah, that's what really matters. And it's not pointing fingers at anybody else, it's touching your own humanity and our shared humanity. And I see some things, oops, I see in the chat that some some of the needs here are consideration, space, alignment, beauty, order, ease, rest, play. Power with.
So as you settle into these needs, you've completed the self-empathy part of the process. This is for me the kind of the vital piece of NVC that's often skipped over. We skip towards wanting to connect with the other person, which is super important. And it's much easier to connect with others once I know where I'm coming from, what my need is. And I have let go of, to the best of my ability in the moment, any enemy image that the other person should be different than they are. Because then it opens me up to the possibility to consider.
Don't move on.
Oh, to go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I thought. Because I just want to comment on one of the things I'm reading here in the chat. It says the need for encouragement, and this is a perfect opportunity to ask yourself. And if someone encouraged me or I encouraged myself. What's the deeper meaning of that? What would the value of that be? And to keep going underneath that until you get to that place where it's not about anybody doing anything. It's about really connecting to our deeper inner values that we share together. Needs make no reference to any particular person doing any particular thing.
Put that into the chat. That's a probably pretty close to a quote of Marshall's. See, strategies do make reference to a particular person doing a particular thing.
Yes.
Needs don't.
Mm-mm.
Needs answer the question, why? Why is something important? Strategies answer the question, how? How are we going to get a need met?
So we see things like safety, cooperation, acceptance, compassion, perspective.
Great.
Just these are words that resonate for me, and I think for everybody, as part of what it is to be human. We all share that. So again, wherever you land, just saying, if I had that, is there anything deeper underneath that? Until you get to that place where you know you've arrived at a very universal place that we all share.
Also, continue to take care of yourself. We've been sitting now for an hour, some of us for maybe even an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm going to stand up and stretch as soon as I put this slide up, and ask you now to do the next step of the process, which is to make some guesses about what the needs that are motivating the other person's behavior. So if I'm the guy tossing my socks towards the hamper, what need am I trying to meet when I do that? And what need do you guess I'm trying to meet when I don't go the potential next step, which is to notice that I missed the hamper, and I could then walk over and pick up the sock and put it in, but something else is motivating me. What's going on?
So
in me?
that's my job, actually, to actually make a guess. What is going on for him when he does that? I'm annoyed it's happening, but what let me look at the humanity of him. I'm guessing maybe there's the need motivating the toss is maybe for some fun or some ease, some sense of completion, things like that that help me to see his humanity.
We'll put the needs sheet back up to help you to make some guesses about the other person. And again, this is an opportunity to savor the needs and to actually connect to you have, if you're at the need level, you have the same need as the other person involved. You may have a different strategy about how you'd like to contribute to that need, but you have the same needs. So you can savor that sense of being connected, at least at the level of the needs.
It may not be the need that is in this situation that's activated in this situation, but we have that shared humanity. We all have the same needs.
Okay, and one final step before we go to small groups to talk about what it's like for you, and that is to consider real life now. Oops, that should be a 6.
We want to make sure the groups are still.
What could you propose that might contribute to both your needs and the other person's needs? So this is the part where you're going to make a proposal. You want to propose an engagement, a sense of connection with the other person. So what could you ask that you guess, you're predicting, would contribute to your own needs as well as the other person's needs? What's a proposal that's big enough to include everybody's needs? So, Jory, I know you're just maybe a little
No, I'm done.
distracted.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what, as you connect to the needs of yours and my needs as the errant tosser, what kind of a proposal do you have that might address both of our needs?
Well, I first would want to acknowledge that you are doing whatever you're doing by throwing them there to try and have maybe a little fun while you're actually getting rid of your dirty clothes temporarily. Is that it?
Um, well, it is fun to try, and but that's part of it. But it's also, I'm in a hurry. I'm trying to get out the door
Yeah.
or trying to get to bed. You know, it's always like I've got one other thing I've got to be. I'm always like playing catch up. So it's like I just want to be done. It's about completion.
Yeah, I suspected that as well. But I wonder, would it work for you to move the dirty clothes container closer to where you are when you take your socks off or your whatever that you're throwing?
So that's as far as we're going to go now. Is she's going to make a proposal, and when you think of me moving the hamper, how does that address your needs?
That would really support me in having a sense of order. And there's something about my nervous system really needing to take care of myself that I get triggered, and it kind of tosses me down a little bit of a rabbit hole. So I'm actually asking for some support.
And how does your proposal address my needs?
I'm guessing again that your need is for some ease and your own sense of order. And if it was actually closer to where you take your clothes off or whatever, wouldn't that make it easier for you too? That it's right there, you just put your clothes right in it.
So Jory's doing she's doing kind of using her imagination, because we're not actually talking about it right now. She's kind of doing this in her head. There is a place to actually talk about it,
Oh.
but she's making a prediction about how her proposal might meet her needs and how her proposal might contribute to my needs. She doesn't know how I'm going to respond yet because I haven't responded. But that's what we mean by a proposal. This is an idea that she has. And so that's where we're at this point. So now we're going to be quiet again while you come up with a proposal that you think might contribute to both your needs and the other person's needs. Okay, so now we're going to put you back into your small groups where you can connect with one another about this. Maybe get some empathy. If you need some empathy, some support, some advice about how to, if you want it, you only give the advice if somebody asks you for it. And mostly it's about when you're listening, it's your chance to listen and to be present for the other person. And then if they want to ask for some support, some ideas, then they'll ask. So you can trust that they'll ask you. The small groups will last about 18 minutes. So everyone has about 6 minutes to explore. And then there'll be 1 minute at the end. So a total of 18 minutes in the small group to talk about the process of getting to the needs and then to share what your proposal is. There's one more step in the process that we'll get to when we get back. So, and then we'll also take the time to answer any questions that might arise in the small groups. But
and you might be in a different small group because people have come and gone and moved some around, but we have groups of 3, I think, on all of them.
okay,
Yeah.
see you back here in 18 minutes. It's always abrupt.
Marty.
All of a sudden, you just get whisked back here without any apparent choice. Real experience of power over. So, love to hear any reports of what you learned so far before we do the final step. Anybody want to share anything? Love to hear voices that we haven't heard from yet, but we're open to any of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just wait and see if somebody else would like to share. Go ahead, Siva.
In the last 15 seconds, Purva provoked me with a question. She said, I am encouraging dominance in my home.
Hmm.
I want to know what she means by that.
Hmm. Ah, it sounds like
I don't
it
know,
sounds like
there's
it.
Purva.
Because
Here comes
because
Purva.
we were noticing that very few men come to these practice sessions.
Ah, yeah. Purva, what comes up
So
for you about this idea of dominance?
Thank you, Ziva. I live in a home with one husband and 2 sons. Everybody around is majorly men. Even our dog is a male. So the practice that I went through, thanks to you leading, I realized my husband, like, thanks to the example, he leaves things uncovered, the food and all that. And I am so used to looking after my father, my uncles. So it is my duty to look after my husband. And I am training my sons. Okay, so if he leaves it uncovered, cover it. So what if he finishes off one snack? We will eat the rest of the food. We have food. So I realized, thanks to Sudha, I am not only accepting, I'm encouraging. So I need a lot of self-empathy. And that's why I couldn't reach the 6th step. So I am muddled up in the 3rd step where I am muddled up with my feelings. So I need to notice and name them and stay with them. So
Yeah,
thank you for this exercise.
You're still in the middle. You're still in the middle, you know, and you've got a
Yes.
new insight about perhaps you're enabling a situation to occur that you've been unconscious. I keep looking down. I actually forget looking at the camera up there because you're at the bottom of my screen. I'm going to move you up here so you're where I can see you. There, that's better. Hi, Purva.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah, it's like you have discovered an ancient, probably 10,000 years old. It's not just in your life. It's a very ancient dominance hierarchy that exists not only in India, but in almost every culture that I've ever been connected to, where some of us behave out of duty and obligation or out of fear or some other thing, but it's unconscious. And then once we become conscious, then we have more choice. We can still continue to to pick up the socks and put them into the hamper, but we're doing it with a sense of consciousness rather than a sense of resentment. So this is actually a step towards healing resentment.
Mhm.
When we take responsibility for the choices that we make, rather than doing it out of a sense of duty, obligation, and so forth, fear, then we actually are healing ourselves and healing the planet. We're contributing to peace because we are beginning to undo what previously has been an unconscious pattern.
Yeah. And we're not caving. We're not stopping there. It's not like, okay, I just have to live with it. No, we're really owning it. And then we're lobbying for what we want with the understanding you win some and you lose some, but, or you can find maybe something you haven't even thought of yet when you sit down together to try and work something out.
And I'm also appreciating, Purva, your intuition that you can't go to a proposal until you've received enough empathy.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really important piece. I'm really
Yeah.
glad you underlined that. Allison?
And then I just
Oh.
want to highlight the reason for that is you want to be as resourceful as you can be when you actually have the conversation.
Allison?
Thank you.
Allison? Go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to say how, oh, I'm so grateful for you and you, Jory and Jim, for doing this. It's such a beautiful community to me. And I had two people in our circle, and it was so enriching to hear we all struggled with trying to find a strategy that would have mutual good benefits. And if I were just reading a book, or if I were, this is so wonderful to have people that share, here's the dilemma, here's some of my ideas, here's how that I think that might be helpful. It just expands, it
Yeah.
exponentially expands
Mm-hmm.
my how to work this, how to be creative. What does that look, what might that look like? What roads did you take, or where did you end? So thank you. It was really delightful and wonderful.
Oh.
And
Lovely. I'm glad. That is my experience as well. It's like it's letting go of the pressure, or whatever's on our back, and just being present and working it out.
Enjoying the sense of collaboration. That's what I'm
Mhm.
really taking away. But I'm
Mhm.
really letting it register in my heart how much we all need collaboration. It's challenging to do this kind of work on our own. We really need the support of community.
how much creativity and fun, and it's like suddenly you don't just get one flower, you got all these flowers in the garden all of a sudden. It's just like, wow, it's great.
Wonderful. Thanks for the bouquet. And David?
Hello.
Hi.
And when I did the exercise with respect to the proposal, I employed something that I'd learned in some spiritual studies that I'd done about transformation, and the exercise involved our senses, like when the need is uncovered and the other person and I work on or collaborate to have that need met. How do you call it? Each need met as we exchange information and exchange feelings and things. What color would that be? Would it be yellow? Would it be blue? Would it be pink, like a lot of passion? Be yellow with a lot of joy? Where would it be? Would it be like maybe some wheat fields? I'm a farm kid, so maybe some wheat fields dancing and calmly. Would it be a thunderstorm if we lost control of our emotions? Would it be the gentle rustling of leaves in a fall breeze? And so involving the senses, what would it smell like? What color would it be? What kind of sounds would we hear? And so involvement of the senses is huge in my newfound spiritual path that I share with a few other people at a close soul level.
Wonderful.
Is really important. So thank you for letting me share.
You're welcome. Thanks for sharing. And I'm highlighting and taking in the importance of building a rich sensory experience, really utilizing your senses to do the checking. Is this proposal going to really work for me? And maybe finding a metaphor to support connection and collaboration. Hi, Juliana. What's up?
Hi, Jim. Yeah, so I was just wanting some wisdom from you and Jory about how you hold the needs for protection and connection together. Like when I talk about protection, I mean your emotional safety and at the same time when I talk about connection, so that is protection, okay? And connection, I'm talking about, for example, freedom, autonomy, all of those things. So how do you hold that in a relationship? People have needs, both these needs. So how do you respect and hold these together, at the same time?
Yeah, it's curious to me when you say protection. Protection from what?
So I'm talking about relationship. I'm talking about emotional safety in a relationship, okay? And at the same time, you have to give freedom to the other person. So, you want to hold on to this person who, maybe I'm talking about a special relationship, okay? Not a general relationship, okay? Like with a spouse. And you want to actually have that special kind of connection.
Yeah,
And at the same time, you want to give the other person freedom. And so how do you balance that?
That's a wonderful question. And I don't think there's a really great general answer other than on a case by case basis to identify the needs. And sometimes I use this image of a cradle. I call it the cradle of compassion. And I imagine, let's just say, whenever I have a sense that my needs seem to be in conflict, like maybe the need for protection on the one hand and connection on the other, or freedom on the one hand and protecting the relationship on the other, something that looks like a polarity. But I know from my NVC experience, that's not really a polarity, it's just a creativity crisis. So I imagine taking these needs, each one like a baby, a precious being, a precious kind of energy, and I put each of them into a cradle together, and then I just allow them to kind of be together and rest in this cradle of compassion. And maybe I'm rocking the cradle or singing to the needs or just somehow nurturing these needs. And then I just wait with an expectation that once I'm connected to the needs, life is designed to come up with strategies. My brain that's the purpose of my brain, is to come up with strategies that meet needs. That's the only thing my brain's always doing. So trusting myself to come up with a strategy, not necessarily trusting that it'll work. Because you try it and then you find out, do I need to tweak the strategy? Do I need to try a different strategy? And so forth. So that's the feedback process. So it's, in essence, it's about creating a space big enough to hold all the needs, savoring all those needs, and then waiting with expectation for creative insight. Does that make sense, Juliana?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Jim. Thank you very much. Yeah. Like, I've been kind of searching for that. And what's come to me is, to kind of just get connected to myself and my own being. And once I have that strength, that insecurity just goes away. And I can come from a space of strength and resourcefulness, and not, fear or grasping or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I'm working on that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, to really
Thank you.
put the oxygen mask on yourself first and foremost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Thanks,
Yes.
Juliana.
Yes.
We'll hear from Juan, and then we'll do the last step in today's practice. Go ahead, Juan.
Thank you, Jim. And in my breakout room, one of the friends mentioned her empathy method is to avoid use past tense. For example, if we say I felt disappointment instead of say disappointed, because ted sounds like a do something can cause other people feeling by what I understanding what she said, but for to use a disappoint or disappointment to have just kind of take responsible by ourselves.
Yeah.
So grammarly on grammar level I understand it, but for the emotional level I cannot really connect to the difference. I thought maybe because English is my second language. So I feel a little bit blurry. I want some clarity, so I want to ask, what do you think about that?
Well, what's registering for me is the power of presence when you're talking about your feelings. So observations can be about the past, feelings are about the present. So even if something happened to me when I was 5 years old, I could like talk about something that happened to me when I was 5 years old, like get into a fight with a kid, and it felt like a life and death struggle with this kid, and so all that happened in the past. And right now, as I think about it, oh, I'm really glad. I actually feel happy about the resourcefulness I found and the ability I found to defend myself against a kid that was much bigger than me, and sent him home screaming because I found some kind of unknown animal-like power in me, and I feel proud about that, even though this was now 62 years ago or something like that. So the feeling is present, the observation is the past, and the need is present as well. So feelings and needs are in the present. Observations can be in the past
Or the present.
or the present. Does that make sense, Yuan?
Yes, now I understand. So it also means when I practice or when I to express my feeling and needs, I need trying to use present words as much as possible.
Yeah, and also since English isn't your first language, practicing, especially your self-empathy in Mandarin, can be very, very powerful. And then do the translation work. So go ahead and, I mean, Mandarin or whatever your birth language is for other people, whatever your birth language is the language that you probably got educated in, where you kind of inherited the domination structure that gets layered into our language. Lots of moral judgments and focusing on the past and then the future and everything except the present moment and so forth. So practice there and then bring it in to English if it's helpful, if the conversation needs to be in English. But the inner work we hear over and over and over again, that the inner work, the self-empathy work, when done in your birth language, is so much more self-connecting. And then you can do the translation work as necessary later. Does that make sense, Juan, in your experience?
Yes. Yeah. On this perspective, I totally makes sense to me. Be between past tense and present. Yeah, I guess. What I got a little bit confused is about she said about the user like a disappointed, kind of like a do kind of like did by other people.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I understand right. I'm
Yes,
not sure, Tanya, do you mind
I think I got.
to
I think
say
I
it
got.
because I do not want.
I think I got
Okay.
it, Juan. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
healing words that end in the letter ed actually refer to thoughts
Mm-hmm.
rather than feelings. So if I say to Jory, "You, I feel disappointed," what I'm really saying is, "You disappointed me." And if I'm talking about what's going on in my body, I feel disappointment, or I feel angry, or I feel hurt because I think you disappointed me. So to transform the ED, which often is a finger pointing, a finger pointing thought of moral judgment, to transform that into a present based body sensation. When I tell myself that you disappointed me, I feel disappointment, or I feel angry, or I feel hurt. Is that kind of what you're pointing to, Tanya? Yeah, I see a thumbs up. Great. Does
Mm.
that feel complete, Juan? Does that answer your question?
Yes, that's yeah, bring me the clarity. For me, I just need to feel more words to let it connect with myself, energy level. Since I understand now in my brain, so I need to feel more really subtle sensation to my self body. Then I can know how to use it.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you for the explanation.
you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I'm sure that was also supportive for others.
We have one more step in the process, but let's check in with Kanchan. It's your first time here. What's up for you? And am I pronouncing your name right?
Yes, I'd just like to share some thoughts on what was just now discussed. When we receive a communication like I felt disappointed, I feel it is a closure of time, that it is a kind of a disguised sort of blame or allegation that the damage is done. I felt disappointed. That's it. It's a closure. And if you say I feel a sense of disappointment, it is still leaving a small window of channel open for urging for further communication, for discussion and collaboration. And the other person might just feel prompted to think that okay, this sensation is still alive in this person, and maybe I can do something to to take care of this need that the person is sharing. So it is more collaborative way of speaking rather than a permanent closure. This is
Yeah,
what
thank you
I
so
see.
much.
It's
Yeah.
very clear.
And when you say I have a sense of, you're owning it to yourself rather than pointing the finger. Yeah, very clear. Thank you.
Right, right.
Appreciate your
And
contribution.
at the same time, you could urge the other person to look into it or to just understand you better.
Yep, you can
So
make a request.
it's helpful. It's helpful to meet your own needs as well.
Absolutely.
Ask, ask, ask.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Kanchan. Is that how you say your name, Kanchan?
That's right. Thank you.
I guess right.
That's right.
All right.
Nice
All
to
right.
meet
So
you.
the last step is I see your hand, Zohar. We'll come back to you in just a second. I want to give people this last step in the practice to think about how could you open a conversation to make this proposal. And so what we're pointing to here is that the opening line when you're going to present your proposal is a really important part of the process. If you show up with energy that sounds like a demand, it's not going to probably go the way you want. It's going to set up resistance in the other person. If you come in with openness to outcome, that you've got this proposal, but maybe there's a proposal that the other person has that's even better, then that will shift how you open the conversation. The other thing, if you've taken care of any enemy image and you're connected to the needs, you're likely to show up in this opening line with warmth and with care and conveying a sense of mutuality that you don't want to get your needs met. at the expense of their needs. You want to, you actually, you're motivated. If you're living in this NVC kind of consciousness, you're motivated to find a request or a proposal that contributes to everybody's needs, not just yours. That's what makes NVC different than a sales course. You're not trying to sell somebody on a particular idea. You might want to propose the idea, but then that's the opening of a conversation. So to spend 2 minutes to think about and just write a rough draft of what you might say to open a conversation to make the proposal that you worked on today. So if you want to write what you put into the chat just to celebrate that you came up with something, maybe this you'll get a chance to try this out in real life and find out what happens. I wish we had another hour that we could explore this with. Maybe we'll do some of that kind of work when we get back in 3 weeks. But this is such a critical piece, how we open the conversation. So, Jory, would you just try opening the conversation with me and do it with a sense of openness to outcome, because I'm going to make it hard for you.
Okay. So, Jim, do you have a moment to talk about something?
Yeah, I do. So number one thing she did is she got consent first before opening the conversation. Okay, so she's already showing mutuality. She doesn't want to have the conversation unless I can have it now. So I say, yeah, I can talk to you now.
Yeah, thanks. I really appreciate that.
Number two thing she did, she expressed gratitude. She made a request. I said yes. The natural response to a yes or a no to a request is thank you. Thank you for responding to my request. Then?
Yeah, so you have a few minutes to talk about something that I noticed has just really been hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I noticed that when you get ready for bed, you toss your shirt over toward where the laundry basket is, and it often falls on the floor.
Mm.
And I noticed that that's really hard for me. But mostly, actually, now that I'm sharing it with you, I'm kind of curious. Do you notice when it falls on the floor?
Okay. So Jory ends her honest expression with a clear and present request for more connection. She didn't ask me to say yes to the proposal yet. She asked for more information coming from her curiosity. So this is likely to lead to more conversation, more connection than if she had just started with the action request.
Yeah, and I didn't have any at this moment. I'm open to developing some together, but I'm not moving into this conversation with a plan that I have to get put into place here.
You're focused on the need, not on the strategy.
Yeah, the connection and the need, and see what we can find that will work for both of us.
So that's the game to play over the next week. is to consider these kinds of conversations that you want to have in your life. How can you open them up in a way that conveys your openness to outcome?
And one of the most important pieces, before you even initiate the conversation, have a dialogue with yourself to check to see if you are open to outcome. Because if there is even the slightest bit of have to or should or judgment of right, wrong in there, it'll be felt, even if the person, even if it's not named. We respond to that kind of energy. So first you put that oxygen mask on yourself, you make sure you're in a really resourceful space and also open to outcome. Yes, dog for your own needs, but not dog for just a particular strategy. Put connection in there first.
Okay, so we're getting close to the bottom of the hour, and we will keep the call open to answer Zohar's question at the very end here, and then there'll be a chance for you to hang out for a few minutes with other friends if you want to. As long as you want to, we'll keep the call open. First, though, if you're here for the first time and you want to be added to our email list, you can check the chat, click on that link, and that link takes us to the recordings. Nope, that is the email link, right? Okay, so good. I'm not ahead of myself yet. So that's how you get connected to our email list. And then this is the link to get to the recording for this call. And there's two different ways you can get to the recording. If you join our YouTube channel, which we're almost up to 200 people, which is just absolutely astonishing for me, with no effort on my part. You guys have joined our YouTube channel. When you join, it actually somehow it helps that other people might learn about this channel. So I don't know how all that stuff works, and I don't really care. But I really care that you have access to these recordings for your own work and maybe your own practice groups. You can use them to start your own practice group and do the practice again with other people if you'd like. And then I did write a book called Pathways to Nonviolent Communication, and you can order it. We celebrated with Tanya that her order just came in, and it's really exciting to know that she bought some copies, and she was going to give them away to friends. If you want to donate to support our work, you can use these two links here. Right now, we're collecting money to support what was mentioned at the beginning of the call, the NVC convention in India. We've raised over $1,000 now, which means that we're matching the donations. So $2,000 has been raised to support the scholarships for folks in India who want to attend the NVC convention there. And it's a big deal to take time off of work and to travel to where this place is, where the convention is, and to pay for the food and the lodging. So we want to try to make it as easy as possible for people, and so that's why Sudha is Sudha and I and Jory are helping to raise money to do this. And then finally, Jory loves to do.
No, I was just saying,
Oh,
don't
you
do
don't.
it.
Yeah. And
Normally, I do meet with people individually. You're welcome to put that in the chat for now. My time is a little less available than usual, but
because we're going to be traveling.
yeah, we're going to be traveling.
But you can book something for when we get back in the middle of
when
March.
we come back, or if there is some openness there, but not as much as usual.
Great. And then so next week, let me tell you who's going to be here. Next week, our friend Donna Han, who is a certification candidate from South Korea, who was born and raised in Belarus.
I'm gonna sign off and go take care of.
Okay, great. Okay. So Donna will be here to do the training next week. She just finished her pre-assessment, so she's on the verge of becoming a certified trainer. And she's got something planned to support you all in continuing to learn about nonviolent communication and to get some practice. And then 2 weeks from now, from next week, Rob Eames who's also a certification candidate from Philadelphia, will be here. And Rob's not only an NVC trainer, but a relationship coach. So he'll bringing his expertise to share his experience of NVC in helping with his own relationship and with others. And finally, the third week that we're going to be gone on the first Monday of March, Katrina will be here. She's a brand new certified trainer. I had the honor of supporting her, but she's not a brand new trainer. She's been doing NVC for about 15 years. So she has a lot to bring, especially around the areas of self-connection and relationship. So that'll be happening. Also in March coming up, Eric Wong, who some of you have met, another recently certified trainer. He'll be doing our NVC Academy class on the fourth Saturday of the month. Jory and I will return the second Monday of March, and we'll continue our exploration of relationships and nonviolent communication. And you don't have to worry about remembering any of the stuff I just said, because we'll continue to send you our weekly emails. So you'll be able to stay connected to the plans. Okay, so thank you all for being here. And Zohar, you still have a question alive? Let's hear your question.
Yes, thank you. I had a difficulty to articulate a proposal. And the last step you proposed was actually helpful because I could understand that I don't have to have a proposal if I want to have a conversation. And if it's a relationship where I usually have a dialogue and I have a lot of trust and intimacy, it's okay to just bring my need and my feelings and guess the need of the other person, create a connection and move on from there. So that was helpful. But one of the reasons that I couldn't make a proposal is because I could feel that there's still a jackal talking in my head. And the other reason why I couldn't make a proposal is because, and that is my question, I could guess the need of the other person in one level, and then I could guess a much deeper level of the need. And I was not sure that if I will address that very, very deep level, if the other person would still be open, or if it will be too much and that the person will just close himself up.
Yeah, I'm really appreciating your sensitivity and your discernment, and to acknowledge that we have a lot of choices as we enter into empathic or connecting or restorative dialogue with somebody about how deep do we sense would actually support connection. And so I don't think there's any universal answer to the question. It's more like you're going to feel into it. The more inner work you can do to get connected to the depth of your needs and to make guesses about the depths of their needs, the more likely you are to get the quality of connection that you're likely to be longing for. So even if you don't speak the need, but it's in your heart, then I think that could really help. I think that could really help. For example, let's say that I want to have a dialogue with somebody, and the surface area, the surface need might be order, sort of like the throwing the socks into the hamper kind of order. But underneath it, my sense is that there's some kind of trauma, that this person got punished as a child for not obeying authority. They got spanked maybe for being messy or somehow punished. And so I might sense that might, maybe they've even told me that, but I'm probably not going to go there in my first empathic connection. I'm going to stick with the problem solving. And then if it naturally unfolds to go deeper, then I'll just follow the energy to go there. Does that make sense to you, Zohar?
Yes and no, because I feel like once I sense that very deep need, I I will have a problem to keep the conversation authentic
Mm,
and be satisfied on that surface level.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
because it's not only about making peace in between the needs, that I feel like it's also about healing, that our communication, our style of communication is here to offer us very deep healing with ourselves and with the people around us. So um, yeah,
So for me,
I
for
don't
me,
feel
it's a yes.
complete.
That makes a lot of sense what you're saying, and for me, it's a yes and. So if I have a sense of what the other person's needs are, I want their proposal to include even the unspoken needs. So if I have a sense that that safety, say for example, is really important to the person, I might just say, you know, I'd like to talk about this proposal, and what I'm thinking that might really meet the need for order is this, and I wonder if considering that proposal works for you, and if they say yes, then I might just say, great, thank you for letting me know, and would you just slow it down just a little bit and check to see if it's safe for you to say yes here, to not let the other person submit, to slow things down and not get graspy. Oh, they said yes to my proposal. Oh boy, I'm going to get what I want. But to say, oh, thank you for your willingness to say yes, and please, can we just check? Is that really going to work for you? Does it feel safe? Do you feel open to it? And do you need some time to think about it? Would you like to have a trial run with it? There's some other little steps that you can put in there to make a buffer, to make a safe space for the person. So you don't have to go for the final signing the agreement stage at the very beginning. You can start with a step towards the proposal, and then check to see if they feel open and safe to it. Does that make sense now?
Yes, I mean, what I take from what you say is that there are other ways to guess the need of the other person that are indirect.
Yeah.
That if I think that under the need of for the other person to play while they throw their laundry, their dirty clothes, is maybe also something about safety, but I'm not sure that they will connect with it if I'll put it directly on the table as a guest. Then I can bring it like this,
Yeah.
like you were asking. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you.
It's worth a shot. It's worth a try. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes even just connecting on that level of needs is already a lot. Like in the case I was writing, I was not looking for a solution. I was looking for uh, just this acknowledgement
Yeah.
of the needs
Yeah.
of both of us.
That makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense so far, and it's a fulfillment of what I heard from Marshall when he said when he's talking about navigating conflict. He says, take your time. It probably took, like he was working with two tribes in Rwanda that were in a civil war, and so it took generations for this conflict to explode into this bloody civil war. So one mediation is not going to solve it, but one mediation can lead to start to build some trustful connection between these two tribes. So that by the end of the meeting, one of the chiefs said to Marshall something. Marshall was like doing a checkout round, and he said, Chief, how do you feel about what happened today? And he said, I feel really, 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 really sad. And Marshall says, you're really, really sad? I'm surprised because we seem to get so connected. What's behind your sadness? He says, well, Marshall, if I had known about nonviolent communication, and if my parents had known about nonviolent communication, and if their parents had known about nonviolent communication, there'd be a lot less dead people. Yeah. So take your time. It took a long time to get to where we are in our conflicts. So it might take some time to kind of unpeel the layers of connection until we find something that works for everybody. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. See you in 3 weeks. Really enjoyed our class today. I feel really warm and open and hopeful. And I look forward to taking a little bit of break and celebrating the wedding of our kid. And how are you as the meeting ends?
Oh, I'm very thankful for our time together and the sense of community. Just it gives me a sense of inspiration and hope. So thank you for being part of this. And with that, I'm going to open up rooms.
Let me turn the recording off first.
Yeah.
So aloha and see you next time. Turning the recording off, and Jory will make small groups for you.